Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and guess who's checking in on this Friday morning? You know, the cool guys come out to play when it's Friday. I'm sorry, it's not Friday. Why was I thinking it's Friday? Actually, the cool guy came out on this Thursday. I'm going crazy here. Okay, the cool guy has come out on this Thursday. Hey, sometimes cool guys go out partying on Thursday night. So I guess he's come out on a Thursday. So listen to him here. This is Mr. Intuitive, Troomers Only, the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Here he goes.
Question number 3 regarding a possible XRP buyback. And again, we're just having fun. You're too serious. Get out of here. Question number 3, I think Quincy Techmaster Flex may be able to help us out here. If XRP is bought back by the feds, shouldn't we be able to keep the future airdrops and the rights to the airdrops? Drop your answers below. And Quincy, is that possible? Is it possible to give your XRP your keys and somehow still keep the airdrops and get them redirected to you? Quincy Techmaster Flex. All right, question number 3.
That guy's a trip. All right, good stuff. All right, so John Deaton was retweeting this Leonidas thread, and I'm gonna take you down a road here, folks. So strap in. He says he thinks this is Lowell Ness he's pointing to. He says he thinks SEC did a great job. Digital Asset Investor posted a video where he says Hinman's speech tracked his memo. I'm sure Brad Garlinghouse would say nice things too if given a free pass. Hinman is now being handsomely paid by the very group behind the memo that Hinman followed. And the group he's talking about is Andreessen Horowitz. That's who Hinman is an advisor for now. Well, he mentions that I put out a video where Lowell Ness said that, so let's show that to you just as a refresher. Let me hit the refresh here. Boom.
Full decentralization, and that's what the Hinman speech, which tracks my memo pretty well, has come out and said. And the Hinman speech has generally said, okay, decentralization, we think, gets both Bitcoin and Ether out of securities law status.
Well, why does it not get XRP? XRP is more decentralized than Ethereum. We've poked all the holes that need to be poked into that Ethereum joke.
And sort of the way I positioned it in the memo was, you know, that's kind of like a bookend. That's like an easy case. Like if it's fully decentralized, there's no real issuer, so it's relatively easy to test.
Right. In other words, mold it how you want it to get what you want. Okay, so this is a response to John Deaton's thing. What this is Lowell Ness in front of Congress, and I want you to see this. This was in July of 2018, and it was the month after they got the Ethereum free pass, and it's important that you see who goes in front of Congress. First of all, it was Lowell Ness, the guy who says he wrote the memo that inspired the Bill Hinman speech, free pass for Ethereum. Who else is there? Gary Gensler, who is now at the SEC. Then you've got J.D. Gorfine. He runs the Digital Dollar Project. He's Lab CFTC. Now, that means if he's Lab CFTC, that means that at the time of this, in July of 2018, Gorfine was at the CFTC, and we know from Charles Gasparino's video on May 10th of 2018 that not only someone named Andrew told him that the Brooklyn project was SEC sanctioned, but he also told them that they're working with the SEC and the CFTC. Who else was in front of Congress? Well, J.D. Kapoor, managing partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and we know that Andreessen Horowitz, Jay Clayton went to. He told Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz to go and get the industry group together, and that industry group became known as the Venture Capital Working Group, and that working group is what eventually made what the safe harbor memo that Lowell Ness says he wrote ends up sent to Bill Hinman on March 26, 2018. Just a handful of months later, you get an Ethereum free pass. And Andreessen Horowitz led the thing. And I want to do an aside here, folks. We're either watching something that stinks to the moon, or all the world's a stage. I want to keep reminding you of that. Because, look, I'm fully aware that that Andreessen Horowitz invested in Ripple early on. Okay, we've talked about that 1,000 times on here. I'm also fully aware that Katie Haun from Andreessen, who's one of the partners in Andreessen Horowitz now, was the assistant U.S. attorney who signed off on XRP being a virtual currency with the Justice Department back in 2015. And I think that piece of paper is literally, to this day, the reason that Ripple didn't think they were doing anything wrong. And I find a hell of some irony in that. Okay. Now, who else was in front of Congress in July of 2018, the month after the Ethereum free pass? Probably the most interesting character that many of you may not even know about, and that is Amber Baldet, who they put down as being chief executive officer of Clover, but she's much more important than that, folks. And I think I laid it out. Where am I? I think I put it, not there. Here's the actual hearing, and that's Amber Baldet of Clover. But she's from a much more important place, folks. She, and this is Leonidas's thread, by the way. She, where did I put it? Did I not put it up here? I must have gotten things out of order or forgot to put it in here. All right, maybe I didn't put it in here. But let me tell you who she is. That woman right there, yeah, she is the CEO of Clover, but what was she before that? She, before that, let me see if she says it right here, because she starts talking right in, let me see where her talk begins. Listen.
Previously, I led the blockchain program at JP Morgan, though I'd like to note that my comments today do not represent my former employer.
That sounds familiar. She led the blockchain at JP Morgan. What a coincidence. So, here we are. Now, I sent out the other day this Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass timeline, and it lays it all out. What's interesting, and it's not in this timeline, but right in the middle of, or somewhere in the middle of this timeline, and it came from some court documents that John Deaton had tweeted out. Right in the middle of, and as I recall, it was when the SEC was meeting with Consensus and Joseph Lubin and all those folks and the CFTC. But right in the middle of it, there was one entry where Christian Catalini, I think is his name, who was a professor at MIT, where Gary Gensler was a professor. Right in the middle of it, there's a lot of blacked out stuff, I remember, and Christian Catalini, who now is the chief economist of the Diem Association, which is Facebook's, what was Libra project, Facebook's digital currency. Okay? He was right in the middle of it, and from what I recall, the way it was worded, like he was being consulted by the SEC on what digital assets would be and all that. Okay? And I want to make sure you understood that. And so I've just had in my gut that somehow Ethereum is not the only one that's where a free pass has been gotten or is being worked on. So I decided to look into it. Started to look into it this morning. So here's what I've got so far. Somehow the Ethereum free pass involves Diem from Facebook as well, and that's in my opinion. Okay. Christian Catalini from MIT talked to the SEC right in the middle of this timeline, and now is the chief economist at the Diem Association. What you're looking at is Diem's governance page. That's him, chief economist at Diem, and that is Katie Haun, general partner of Andreessen Horowitz. Okay, she's on, I believe, the board at Diem. Okay. But that's not all. That's not all, folks. And this is the page that I just showed you those clips from. All right, that is not all. So then I went to the Diem Association members. This is from a video. That's Christian Catalini showing it as a slide in one of his presentations. Both venture capital firms that headed up the venture capital working group, which gave Ethereum the free pass, which rounded up industry players and eventually got Ethereum the free pass from Hinman's speech, are members of the Diem Association Facebook. Diem sure is quiet. Diem is awfully quiet these days. You don't hear anything about Diem. Almost like they're flying under the radar. And I have a question. Is Diem a security? Is JP Morgan coin a security? Is the SEC going to look into these two? What's the deal with that? They're all happy to sue XRP. Are they going to look into Diem, and are they going to look into where's the SEC on that, on those two? Or did JP Morgan get a quiet free pass? JP Morgan coin get a quiet free pass because it's built on Ethereum? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I'm asking questions. All right. So here is Katie Hawn right here from June 19th, 2019. And I said, remember that time the Venture Capital Working Group led by Andreessen and Horowitz got together quietly with industry players, and within 6 months Ethereum got a free pass. So if you remember that, then this video will be interesting to you.
Asked about what is Andreessen Horowitz's role. We're one of 28 founding members, and there's a council now. Libra Association has 28 members, and we are one of the 28 members. We will have a vote equal to the other 27 members in terms of important governance decisions that are going to be made over the next few months.
Over the next few months, and
yes.
So Facebook has just one vote in that.
They have
in that
one.
28.
That's correct.
Are you going to get together in a room and have a physical meeting?
I believe we will.
Has
yes.
one happened yet?
Not yet. We have spoken with partners, but it's not in a meeting context, because let me tell you why. Each of the partners had to, it wasn't clear who all of the partners were going to be until the announcement yesterday.
I wonder if they invited Ripple into those meetings. You're getting together regulators and industry players because you want to have a level playing field in all of this, right? You don't want to get the regulators in a room, just a few close held people, and then create an infrastructure for yourselves and not for the industry overall. Surely they wouldn't be doing that.
Many knew who the partners were going to be. However, there was never a setting in which we would have all come together yet. So that process begins now, and we are all in touch now. Meetings are being planned, and documents will be prepared. So I can't tell you too much about the governance right now because the association hasn't yet had those really important debates. That's the point of having a voice at the table. We just held a summit, Andreessen Horowitz, in May last month, and we had regulators from every single one of the major regulatory organizations in Washington, D.C., and by the way, from other jurisdictions, states, and also other countries, come together in San Francisco with a group of key thought leaders in crypto. And we had a closed-door session for...
Oh, a closed-door session? Closed-door session, that reminds me, when I heard closed door session, I had a flashback to when Nancy Wotas, she was talking about how the safe harbor memo was supposed to be in secret, but it was leaked. So closed door, and I also had a flashback to, what was it yesterday on one of my videos? They had quiet meetings. It was the New York Times. Was it the New? Yeah, it was the New York Times. It was Nathaniel Popper who wrote the New York Times article in April of 2018. Was it April 19th, 2018? I think, where he wrote the New York Times article, and then we went back into his Twitter feed, and he said they had been having quiet meetings and quietly discussing in private meetings. Remember all that? Quiet, private, those kind of things jump out at me because I'm wondering why are the regulators that work for the taxpayers having quiet meetings to decide all of this stuff? Why aren't they having public meetings? They're being paid by the taxpayer. Why aren't they having public meetings? And who's involved in these meetings? At a minimum, why aren't they telling you who's involved in all these private meetings? Are you involving the entire industry, or are you sitting together with just a close-knit few to decide the fate of the world's financial system and the U.S. financial system? Because I think it's important that it's public. or at a minimum, it's disclosed who's in these meetings. Because from what I can tell, Ripple was nowhere close to being involved in the Ethereum Free Pass meetings. And so my question is, what about this? What about these Diem meetings? Well, I'll let her keep talking.
250 people approximately, where we discussed this very thing. What should the regulations be? What ought they need to look like? And how do we move this forward in a way that both fosters innovation, but that is protective of consumers? Where identity...
How are consumers being protected with closed door meetings? That's what I want to know. How am I don't feel protected when you're in secret talking about things and I don't know about it. I'd feel a lot more protective if I could watch the hearing on TV. It wouldn't be CNBC, because if it's supposed to be secret, they wouldn't cover it. But why are they in closed doors? Why are these in quiet and private and all that? I don't get it. I understand. Oh, well, it's for your protection. I'm sure that's their thought. We're all smarter than you, and we're here to help you, children. Come on, man.
Could be traced if there's an appropriate court order, for example. So I don't have a crystal ball. What I can tell you is these are very important conversations, and as I said, debates, and I do think they will be debates, because there are very different points of view, even now, within the Libra Association.
Debates amongst who?
That we expect. And so these debates are going to take place. A charter will be formed, governance documents will be formed, and I imagine, although I don't know that it's been committed to, that those will be released.
I want to ask you one more.
It's been committed to. These are public, these are regulators that the taxpayers pay. What do you mean you're going to decide if they're going to be released or not? What are you talking about? Release them to the public. This shouldn't be done in
leading
secret.
Question that's regulatory in nature, and then...
All right. Sorry about the rant. Now, this is Christian Catalini from the chief economist at the Diem Project, okay? And this is his quote. You have a number of networks. Consumers and merchants will be able to choose and kind of drive competition and innovation across them. And this is me talking. Someone didn't want Ethereum to have to compete. And I have a question. Is Diem going to have to compete? Because all we wanted before the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, all we want now, all we want after is a level playing field. From all the indicators I've seen in all of this is that someone doesn't want a level playing field, but he says there needs to be
payments, say Ripple or Swift GPI changing. So how does Diem kind of position itself in, say, nationally and for cross-border payments?
I would say that, first of all of these improvements, especially the ones on the public sector side, are extremely beneficial. In a sense, they make a network like Diem more useful, because there will be more ways that you can come on and off and use some of the Diem features. In general, I think there's a broader push towards more efficient, cheaper payments. I think there's a number of challenges when it comes especially to cross-border related to harmonization. I think the FSB stablecoin group has done really fantastic work in trying to drive an agenda towards harmonization of laws and regulations. What will have to be seen is essentially how much will that translate into each jurisdiction. We think that for this to be successful, and all these efforts to really make a dent on, for example, the cost of cross-border, we will need more uniform rules, so that a payment network in one region can really communicate and interoperate with one in another region. But in general, I think what's really interesting to see is that, again, from a public sector perspective, you have a number of experiments, you have a number of networks. They will have different features and different trade-offs, and then consumers and merchants will be able to choose and kind of drive innovation and competition across them.
Will they be able to choose? Because, look, I don't care how you slice it. Ethereum, because of what Bill Hinman did, Ethereum has not had to compete with a lot of digital currencies, and Bitcoin hasn't either. They have not; those two digital assets have not had to compete on a level playing field with other digital assets, and it's one big sham, and everybody knows it. If you've watched even half of my videos over the last 2 weeks, you know it's a sham, complete sham. And it was a coordinated sham by someone Charles Gasparino, I can't believe she got through the vetting process. Then again, it's hard to believe these guys did what they did in Afghanistan. Biden's nominee for OCC, I think is what he meant, admires the Soviet economic system and thinks the Fed should effectively end banking as we know it. Well, that could get interesting. And then Jamie Nix, I don't know, I think that's how you say his name. Songbird is not supported on Kraken. Somebody's talked to Kraken support. As of right now, they don't support Songbird. Speaking of Songbird, folks, over the last 12 or so hours, Songbird has surged up 40%, 24 hours. So it's at 55 cents right now. It's been as high as 74 cents. Now, let me tell you how this comes out. Now, I would imagine that Coinbase, who won't even respond to any of these people about their support or like giving people their Songbird. Here's how this thing is going to end, in my opinion, if they're not careful. Right now, I think Coinbase can hold their hands up and say, "Oh, well, these are Flare and all this. This is fork of the ledger, and so we're not going to be able to give it to you right now." They can do that, but when this lawsuit is over, if these jokers sit down on this Songbird or Flare or anything else, they're going to have. I'll bet you they're going to have class action lawsuits out the wazoo. It wouldn't surprise me a bit, and there'll be people because there's a ton of damages that can be proven. And the longer they don't support it, the longer when these people will be able to point to these prices when those lawsuits start flying too. Okay, XRP Bart sent me this. Crypto exchange Bitfinex is suffering a platform outage and has halted trading. That'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Now, I keep reiterating this, and I mean every word of it. I want Bitcoin to do well. I want Ethereum to do well. I want XRP to do well. I want Diem to do well. I want ADA to do well on a level playing field. That's all we want. I don't want to make videos about all this crap. I want to be done with all this. But all we want is a level playing field. That's the only reason any of us out here are still talking about this, is because there's not a level playing field, and we're being forced to have to talk about this stuff. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family